Over 1 million people in South Sudan are at risk of severe hunger, again.
There is something from back home. Yeah, something like food, whatever.
And while hunger has always been an issue for the young country, the link between it and conflict means that more South Sudanese are hungry now more than ever before. So for this episode of Now This World, we've come to the Kakuma Refugee Camp in northern Kenya, just 80 miles away from South Sudan's border, to speak to refugees who recently fled the country.
I live in war, then hunger, no one can support me, that's why I came to Kenya, searching for help.
We see children who are malnourished, we see adults who are not getting the right amount of nutrition.
Hunger isn't a new issue for this country. It's experienced mass waves of drought, famine, and severe hunger as recently as 2017. But these issues have only been exacerbated by the country's civil war. In 2013, just 2 years after South Sudan became independent, then President Salva Kiir dissolved his entire cabinet and accused then Vice President Riek Machar of planning a failed coup. Salva Kiir is an ethnic Dinka, the country's largest group, while Machar is from Nuer, the second largest community. The political quarrel eventually turned into ethnic violence. The fighting has displaced over 4 million South Sudanese, exacerbated human needs, and halted relief operations. As fighting between groups spreads across the country, it hasn't only prevented the transportation of food, but harvesting in general.
People live in another are not cultivating. People ran away. That's why we don't have food.
One challenge the nation faces every year are the seasons. South Sudanese rely on the dry season for the harvest and refer to the rainy season as the hunger season because it's the time when they rely on stored food before the next harvest. Up to 95% of people in South Sudan are dependent on climate-sensitive activities for their livelihoods, like agriculture, forestry resources, and fisheries. Some experts blame climate change for increased drought and flooding, which inundated the lowlands and afflicted the highlands. In addition to climate issues, infrastructure is also a significant issue for the country, which makes food transportation nearly impossible during certain seasons.
There is no road, and then even there is no road. Rainy season, it's impossible because it's not perfect road that everyone is thinking. It's quite muddy, so the car cannot go.
If you have a food which is available in Juba, and if you wanted to take it to Bantu, you will not be able to do this because there is no way that you can carry the food. We add to this problem that some people come and attack you and burn your crops.
And that has made this year's harvest the smallest on record since the country was formed in 2011. In January this year, when harvests were supposed to be plentiful in the country, 1 million people were already food insecure, a 40% increase from the same time last year.
South Sudan is on crisis, so there is no food completely. We are just drinking water, just like that. So that is how we survive.
Aid groups say that if funding and awareness remain low on this crisis, 7.1 million South Sudanese are projected to face severe food insecurity during this year's hunger season. Inconsistent fighting has also crippled South Sudan's economy, making the food that is available in the country increasingly unaffordable. In 2018, over 4 million South Sudanese were displaced due to hunger and war. While a large number of displaced people relocate to other parts of South Sudan, some are forced to seek refuge in neighboring countries like Uganda, Ethiopia, and here in Kenya. Even when refugees make it to places like Kakuma, they often find harsh living conditions in the camps that don't have enough resources to accommodate them. We're here at Kakuma's reception center to meet with new arrivals from South Sudan. This is the place where they become refugees. I spoke to an aid worker who was here in 2014 after the war broke out.
So here in Kakuma Reception Center, we had over 1,000 people coming in every day. And it was really sad to see hundreds of people seated on the ground, not enough space to accommodate them, not enough space in the camp to have them move. So they would stay here for months until a place could be found for them to stay in the camps.
There are over 180,000 refugees in Kakuma, and over 50% are from South Sudan.
And they're the only ones who get instant refugee status. And that is because the South Sudan situation is known globally as the largest crisis we're facing right now in the region. And so whenever a South Sudanese person crosses a border into a country, they're automatically treated as a refugee.
These Southern Sudanese mostly are children and mothers whom they flee because of conflict that is being experienced in their home country, especially the unaccompanied minors, the unseparated children.
My mother died during the war.
She died in the war?
Yes, then I came here alone. All my brothers are died, but I remain alone.
Even when these refugees make it into the camps, hunger is still an issue for them. Just last year, aid organizations had to cut refugee food rations in Kenya by 30% due to a lack of adequate funding.
So people say that, okay, yeah, it's Africa, it's the same thing over and over again, without acknowledging what's actually going on. But as I said, think about the children, think about the mother, and then they're the victim. They're not fighting, they're the victim. If the funding is cutting, that means less food for those vulnerable, less assistance for those vulnerable.
The UN Refugee Agency says it needs $841 million to address this crisis, but only 8% of that, $69 million, has been received.
One thing that I can definitely tell you is don't forget South Sudanese. They are just like you. They are mother and children who want to survive. That's all they want.
If it becomes peaceful, I will go back to South Sudan. But as long as now it's still the war is existing, so I will not go back. I don't have any hopes if weapons are still shouting in South Sudan.
Over the past few years, a number of peace talks have been held with little results. Although ending the war may not solve all the food insecurity issues in the country, one thing is clear: the war ending would be a step in the right direction. Hey guys, so as you saw in this video, South Sudan is one of the most prominent refugee crises of our time. But what are some of the other refugee crises that you want us to be paying attention to? Comment below and let us know.